and welcome to Parentea, a show where we sip on tea and have a candid conversation about parenting. I'm Miley, your host, and join me as usual is Dr. Khanh Tran, who specializes in family and children relationship. So we are brewing a hot cup of wisdom on how to teach our children to be responsible and own their own action. So let's sit back, relax, and grab your cup so we can roll on the very important conversation today. And welcome, Dr. Tran, back to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back.
How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic this week.
That's good.
Bus
That's
busy,
good.
but it's a good busy. Yeah.
I know that your office is so busy. You're not the only doctor. You have like how many doctors there in your clinic? 10?
Yes, we have five other clinicians. Yeah, other
Wow.
counselors and therapists. Yes.
Yeah, and with what thing going on in the mental health and especially with children and family. So thank you for what you do because that do help fix family relationship and build a family relationship better and stronger. And that's what I'm looking forward to every week to have a conversation with you. I feel like for every episode, I learn something new.
Mm,
So thank you, Dr.
mm.
Tran, again for your time. Today, we talk about the important topic is how to raise a child to be responsible young adult. And speaking of that, Dr. Tran, why do you think it's important that parents should teach our children to be responsible?
It sets the foundation for success in the future when we can teach it right. It is important, I think, though, to begin by saying the teaching of responsibility is relied on us. And I say that it's what I mean is how we teach, the way we teach the child to be responsible will determine whether the child will be successful in learning how to be responsible.
And I get we do. I mean, as adult, the kid needs to be responsible and own their own action. So with that, can you share some of the effective way that parent can teach their children, even starting with like a toddler, and how to be responsible?
Yes, with young ones, and I often say the age of 2 or 3 or under, there are certain things that you can do to help the child begin the process of learning the importance of responsibility, such as I know some parents, especially mothers, who like to cook and have their toddler involved in that.
Mm.
That's a good beginning. Another simple task could be after playing with them, pick up the toys and put it where it belongs. That could be a process of learning responsibility for someone who is a toddler or younger. I know some families have pets, so teaching them to help with feeding the pet, for example. So with many kids who are toddlers, kids under 3, it's really one of two things. They are assisting us clean, or we are assisting them to clean. As they get older, then they are better at doing it themselves. But for, again, kids who are toddlers and younger, we're actually helping each other, one another, to learn to be responsible.
And the parent need to start teaching the child at a very young age. That you mentioned, pick up your toy, clean up after yourself. But how could the approach change as a kid grow into school year?
Mm. So as they get older, let's say anywhere between 3 and 6, then the task or the role could be a little bit more complicated. Like I know my wife likes to water plants. Well, a child who is 5, give or take a couple of years, can help with watering plants. Doing laundry, they could help with putting it in the laundry basket. or folding the clothes. Now, I think what's important there is we understand that we can't expect it to be perfect. So I'll give you an example. Once saw a 10-year-older, and one of his responsibility was to clean the entire bathroom. Now, that to me is very unrealistic. That means clean the tub, clean the toilet, clean the sink, clean the floor, take out the trash from the trash can. So we have to be very sensitive and smart about how we go about teaching responsibility, because if we do it in a way where we're setting too much expectations, it could turn really sour, it could turn really bad, and then it'll be very difficult to teach your child how to be more responsible, especially when it's unreasonable. It cannot be too complicated.
So it's based on the age appropriate. So certain tag, give them maybe like a little bit, right? And then raise that
Mm.
bar a bit as we come along.
Yes, so they reach like preteen. I like to, let's say, once in a while clean my car. That's a much more sophisticated task. So my daughter helps me clean the car. So vacuum inside the car or wash the dashboard or so yes. So it has to be age appropriate. A child who's preteen can wash dishes. So you should not expect a 4-year-old to wash dishes. Uh, and you certainly can't expect a 1 or 2-year-old to wash dishes.
Dr. Tran talking about teach kid responsibility at a young age. More of the parent, as states, especially Asian parent, want their
Mm,
children to do well in school, academically. So some
mm,
parent that I know that do not want their child to do anything at home, not even clean the dishes or folding clothes or just helping around the house, do house chore. So for that, the kids grow up with the thinking that, hey, that's not my responsibility. That mom, dad, someone in the house doing this, and my job is that go to school and do well in school. So I want to share the story, and I think I did mention that before, which is the kid come to the auntie house, and the auntie told him that he need to folding clothes, help folding clothes, and clean after himself, like put the dish back into the sink and then wash their own dish and things like that. So the little boy rolled his eyes to the aunt and said, really? I have to do all this? Because my mom never asked me to do this. And he was like teenager age. So for, because he said, my mom always do all this, and why you make me do this? You are a very mean mother.
mm,
And the aunt, then she explained, do you love your mom? Yes, I love my mom a lot, very, very much. My mom is a single mom. After divorce with my dad, she
mm,
devote all of her love to us. And then the auntie said, well, if you love your mother, don't you want she to live with you for a long time? And he said, yeah, of course. So if you want your mom live with you for a long time, why don't you help her out? You know that your mom worked 2, 3 jobs to support you and your sister. And she come home, she have to clean, she have to cook, she have to do all of this. Why don't you help her out? If you want your mom live with you for a long time, you need to help out a little bit so that she can rest. And when the kid hear that reasoning, he can start
mm,
thinking, and um, maybe the attitude will change a little bit, that he know that he can help around the house. It's not like he can help out instead of being like, that's not my job because my mom never make me do that. So for family that the parent did not teach the kid at a young age to be responsible, how can they implement that when they're older? And I know it's
mm.
challenging, it's difficult, but how? Is that an approach or a way that you can help guide the parent to teach their kid since they still live in the same house before they go to college?
Yeah, I think most kids, whether young or middle or old, want to help uh, the parent. It's hard to get them, especially as they get older, to do things by themselves because it becomes a chore or a task. So it's tough to convince them and encourage them. But if you can get them to aid you, like my daughter, she doesn't concern herself with responsibility. But when I ask her to help me clean the car for me, and that's my way in. That's my way of teaching her responsibility. Or I may be inclined to say, "Hey, mom is coming home soon." She usually gets home about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what? I want to help her out. I use that tactic too. I will clean the dishes. What can you do? And she typically says, she likes to sweep the floor or wipe down the countertops. So appeal to their desire and they want to help the mom and dads out. Uh, by the time they reach about 15, 16, it may be more complicated if you haven't taught them how to be more responsible. But then at that age, you can have a heart to heart with them, a mind to mind, and a spirit to spirit talk. They can listen and will listen as long as it doesn't come off as critical. When you can appeal to their empathy or compassion, you're more inclined to be successful.
And with that, Dr. Tran, for a teenager, maybe should we bribe them? Like say, hey, if you do the dishes, you earn $5 something. Or if you mop the floor or you help, bring the trash back down to the downstairs, put it in the dumpster, then maybe, get some money or some credit that turn into money. That like, their work. Will you recommend that approach?
The word bribe concerns me because then they'll do it for a reward, an extrinsic reward. I
Mm.
prefer that they do it for an intrinsic reward, meaning they do it because they love their mom or dad, or they do it because they care. That would be a better form of motivation to get children to do. Now, I've seen in some instances where the child does earn, but that works because there's trust. And that's the other thing about teaching responsibility. The parent to have a trusting relationship with the child for that to be effective. So to be consistent, to be reliable, to be a figure of security for the child. You can get children to earn privileges to get them to do what you need them to do, but it can't be just entirely that. I prefer the deep connection uh, in terms of developing connecting connection through activities, like when I have my child clean the house with me, and then we do it together. We turn on the music. We're dancing as we're doing it. So I'm sitting there washing dishes, making it fun. And the music that we turned on is her music on top of that. So adding these sort of things to help the child learn how to be more responsible and can be more effective.
Yeah, and then do the things is have to be on a consistent base, meaning every day, make it like a habit. And it's not a habit built is after 21 day, it become a habit. And we need to
Mhm.
encourage our children to have the good habit. And the good habit, be responsible. If they need to be responsible for themselves first, like take good care of themselves, and
Mhm.
then, help out the other. So what are some of the signs that the parent can tell that the children is being responsible?
Being responsible. Hmm. I can tell you some of the things that I've noticed with my own daughter. Here's one instance. She was home one day. She was about 10 and she was home alone. She can be responsible, so we allow it to happen. But I get a text that said, "Dad, can I please enter your room? I have a headache in the ibuprofen is in your room. Now, I didn't get that text till 2 hours after she sent it. So she suffered from a headache for 2 hours. So it was at noon I got the text. And then at 2 o'clock, I saw the text after my client, and then I called her. I said, yes, you may. So some of the ways that we can tell, and my point of the story with my daughters, that they act out in these type of behaviors that gives us an indication that they can be responsible. So how I taught her how to do that was when she was 1 years old, 2 years old, and 3 years old and older. I would ask her for permission to enter her room. I would never enter her room without asking for permission. So that's the consistency I'm talking about in terms of teaching responsibility. It is very important that if we're going to teach a child to be responsible, we must show what responsibility looks like. And it starts with modeling.
Yes. So but again, it's already built in her. It become her habit, and it become a
Mm,
culture in the family to show respect and being respected.
mm.
Moving on, in the case that if the child failed to take on responsibility, what is your advice for the parent to do in that situation?
If the child is not taking on responsibility, I am a strong proponent of having a conversation with the child. Having that conversation means letting them know what your expectations are, and then have a discussion what they think their expectations should be. So collaborating together, having again, heart to heart, mind to mind, spirit to spirit conversation. We have that capability. And we as adults have that conversation. I know our default mode is to want to punish the child. To me, that is last resort or no resort at all. If you are an effective parent and you're effectively communicating with the child what your needs are and you're doing it in a very respectful way, the response will be respectful. So again, have a conversation about your expectations and then have a conversation about what they think their part is or their role is in helping the family as well.
That's good. Also nowadays, Dr. Tran, is we live in the world that involves so much of technology. And our child, even us, we depend so much on technology. Do you think that technology play a role in teaching our children to be responsible?
It can be. It can be. It really depends on how we present technology to our children and how we manage technology with our children. So the responsibility again lies on us in teaching the child how to manage technology. We have to be reasonable in doing so too. I have a father who allows their 11-year-older to have technology 30 minutes a week. Now, that to me is actually irresponsible. And I'll tell you why. This is the way that kids nowadays communicate and learn through technology. Some of it is gaming, sure, but some of that is socializing with their friends. 30 minutes a week, if you break it down, that's 5 minutes a day, or or less than that. It's unrealistic. What you can do with technology to start off by teaching them to be responsible is get involved in it with them. And that's something I do with actually my kids in therapy. So I may be inclined to ask the kiddo I see in therapy, show me something that you're interested in on YouTube. And then from there, we can learn about that. And I can direct the child one way or the other.
So basically, know that the children is interesting and using the device and technology every day, and we should not um, stop, take away their device is the form of punishment or privilege for them if they be responsible with their school, with their grade, with stuff around the house, and I guess encourage that. But if we do that, do you think that some parents struggle learn how to balance between giving the children the responsibility, but then also want to ensure that they enjoy their childhood?
Great question. Well, they should have learned how to balance that with their children the day they gave birth to the child. So you as a parent have a responsibility that goes beyond yourself once you have a child. So if you're saying to me, and I get this from other parents that I work with, that they don't have time, so they expect the child to be responsible, monitoring their own electronic, or the child should understand that being on the electronics too much could be bad for them. I say, well, I don't know if that's an effective way to teach the child responsibility when we are ourselves not involved in the child's life. Again, the day we had a child should have been the day we understood that children would be a challenge, and we ourselves have to learn how to balance how to parent the child in a way more effectively and to optimize the child's chances of success.
What is your final tip in helping the parent to instill responsibility in their child and make sure that the child hold accountable for their own action?
Yes, holding accountable for their own action begins with us holding ourselves accountable for how we are teaching the child. So here's two tips: be patient. Be patient. I believe it last session we talked about sometimes parents can lack empathy when it comes to teaching, because a part of that is we don't have the patience to teach. We want them to get it right and get it now. That they should understand that responsibility is important. They understand responsibility is important, I assure you. But be patient in how we teach them, because we can quickly lose them when our tone is harsh and strict. The other thing is, please model responsibility. Please model responsibility. I'm on the electronics all the time. And then Jasmine comes to me the other day and said, Dad, I have something to show you. So I put down my electronics, whatever I'm doing. I'm on there working all the time, or I'm there just, I like philosophy and psychology. So I YouTube podcasts so I can learn. But the moment she approaches me, I put it down. I want to model to her that this is not as more important than she is. So I stop what I'm doing, and each time and anytime I feel like she's coming into the room where I'm at, the living room, outside on the deck, in the kitchen, and I'm on my electronics. The moment she comes in, I put my phone down just to see where she's going to take me next, if she wants to talk to me. I've developed a routine. I develop a habit that you were talking about. I develop a way where I put down my electronics and she notices. And then if she's not engaging with me, she's just going into the kitchen to get a glass of water, and I see that, then I can continue. So be patient and model responsibility.
I want to say thank you for Dr. Tran for your insightful advice and other tip that you provide to the parent. We find is very helpful, especially for me. Raising two teenager kids can be very challenging. And for our viewer out there, I want to say thank you for tuning to watch us. And we hope that you find today's episode benefit in a way that it gives you some good tip on how to raise your little one to become an individual, responsible young adult. This is not all about teaching. It's about us learning together, learning to become a better parent. And if you find this talk show is helpful and you would like to schedule the appointment with Dr. Tran to get a personal consultation on how to be a better parent or how to help you solve some problem with your child, then call the number 307-655-5510. I'm looking forward to our next episode so we can discuss more on the next steaming topic. I'm Miley. Bye, and looking forward to see you at the next show.